सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ नमो ब्रह्मादिभ्यो ब्रह्म विद्या संप्रदाय कर्तृभ्यो वंश ऋषिभ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः। So we were in the third Brahmanam of the fourth chapter, which is the Jyotir Brahmanam. In this, we saw that Janaka is questioning Yajnavalkya, and the question he asked is Kim Jyotihi Ayam Purushaha. That's the question he keeps asking. Okay. So first, Yajnavalkya says that Aditya is the Jyotihi. And here this Purusha has to be taken as Karyakarna Sangata Rupaha, Prakritaha, Shirap Panyadiman Purushaha, like that Bhashyakara says. So the Purusha here is the general being or human being who has the body mind sense complex, who has head, hands, feet, etc. So all the bodily organs, such a person. And for him, here Jyoti means what? By which one does all the Vyavahara. So, Yena Jyotisha Vyavaharati, like that Bhashyakara says, that is the Jyoti about which this is being asked. Now, in this, you can see the answers given. First, Yajnavalkya says Aditya, or sun, and then he gives the reason. Why? Because in the sunlight only during the day. So, Yena eva ayam Jyotisha aste palyayate karma kurute vipalyeti. So, one sits, one moves around, one does all the activities, one returns back like this. Yajnavalkya gives the reason. Then Janaka continues the inquiry. He says, if the sun has set, then what is the Jyoti means? He gives moon, Chandrama. Because in moonlight, again, you can do all these activities. Even if moon is not there, then Agnihi eva asya Jyotihi. And again, in the light of fire, we can do all the things. If Agni also has burnt off, okay, no Agni, no current nowadays, then Vageva asya Jyotihi. Up to this we saw, correct? Vag here is the speech, sound, the words. Based on the sound itself, we can do activities. By hearing a sound, we can even go to a particular place, etc. Correct? And again, by Vag here, we should also understand other sense objects also. So that also Bhashyakara says here. Gandhadihi apihi granadishu, like this he says here. Correct? So the Vag itself is only a Upalakshana for the other similar sense objects. So Tatra Vyag Jyotishaha Grahanam Gandhadinam Upalakshanartham, he says. So in this manner, up to this we saw. The next question is, even if this Vag etc. are not there. Okay, Astamite Aditye Yajnavalkye Chandramasi Astamite Shante Agnau Shantayam Vachi Kim Jyotihi eva ayam Purushaha iti Atmaiva asya Jyotihi bhavati. That is the answer. So now, when the sun has set, moon is also not there, Agni has been put off, and Vak also, no sound also is there. Then what is the Jyoti? Like this, Janaka is asking. Here, Yajnavalkya gives the answer. Atma itself is the Jyoti. Here, Atma is actually the consciousness only. So here the Atma is not Dehendriya Sangata. Understand that? It is Deha Vyatirikta Chaitanya. That's what Bhashyakara wants to give the meaning, and he also will arrive at this based on a inference also. Basically, this whole Swayam Jyotir Brahmanam itself is using some kind of inference, is how he gave introduction itself. Now, what kind of inference he is using here, that also we can understand in general. See, for doing any anumana or inference, traditionally, we require four things, correct? The first is called Paksha. Paksha means the locus, you can say. So, if, or even you can even say the subject under discussion or under dispute. So, Paksha is where you are gaining some knowledge, like the mountain. Okay. So, mountain or hill is the Paksha. It is the locus. It is also the subject under discussion because you have a doubt whether the hill is on fire or not. Correct? So, the Paksha is the first thing. And then we require Hetu. Hetu or Linga also it is called sometimes. The cause to do the inference. So in the classical example, we say smoke is the Hetu, Dhumaha. So Parvataha Vanniman, like that we do inference, let us say. The hill is on fire. How? Dhumavatva, because there is smoke. The Hetu is there. Okay, the Paksha is the hill. The Anumana is Vanniman. The hill is having fire. How do you know? Because you see the smoke. Okay, how can you say if there is smoke, there is fire means then we talk about the invariable concomitants. You should have already observed that wherever there is smoke, there is fire. Yatra yatra dhumaha, tatra tatra vanhihi, like that. That jnanam, it's called vyapti. Vyapti jnanam in Sanskritam. The invariable concomitants is called vyapti. Vyapti you should already know, because you should have seen the same kind of thing somewhere else. That you have to give us drishtanta, in fact, the example. That is the fourth part. Paksha, Hetu, Vyapti and drishtanta. Now the drishtanta you can say is that Mahanase, like that. Okay, like even the kitchen. In the kitchen, I have seen in those days they used to use firewood only, correct? Or even now they use firewood for big cooking. So like in the kitchen where I see the smoke, there is fire. Similarly, in the hill also, like this is the Anumana. Now, Bhashyakara tries to do the same thing here. What? He says, Yatra yatra vyavaharaha, tatra tatra jyotihi. That is the first thing, correct? There, wherever there is activity, there has to be a jyotis. That we see there, because there is Aditya, there is Chandra, like that, different sources of light are talked about. So wherever there is some activity, some transaction going on, there is light. Now, from this, he also does some more inferences. That in all these 5 cases or 4 cases we have listed, correct? Sun, moon, and then we have listed the fire, and then Vak and other sense objects. So, those are all external to the body mind sense complex. So that Jyoti is Karya Karana Sanghatam Vyatiriktaha Jyoti Tatra Tatra, like that is the Anumana which Bhashyakara is trying to make. He is trying to make the Vyapti. Yatra Yatra Vyavaharaha Tatra Tatra Karya Karana Sanghata Vyatiriktaha Jyotihi Asti. Okay. Like even Yatra Yatra Dhumaha Tatra Tatra Vanhihi Asti. Correct? Now he is trying to make this as a Vyapti based on the 4 instances which have been listed here. Okay. So the 4 instances has been listed, and based on that, he is making this. Now, in the particular case, in the 6th one, why this Anumana is important is, Bhashyakara wants to establish this Atma as something other than the Karyakarana Sangata. Okay, they have Vyatirikta Atma is what he wants to establish. And for that purpose only, he is creating this Vyapti based on the 4 instances already which has been discussed. Is that clear? So here, when this Atma is talked about, he says, Atma eva asya jyotihi, means using the Vyapti, he says this Atma also is Karya Karana Sangatam Vyatiriktaha. It is something other than the body mind sense complex. And then some more things will come. We'll see the Bhashya for that. But this Atma here is, it is the consciousness. And in the presence of consciousness alone, okay, here Yajnavalkya says, so Asya Jyotihi Bhavati iti Atmana eva ayam Jyotisha aste palyayate karma kurute vipalyati. So with this Jyotis of Atma, consciousness alone, you sit, you do all activities, etc. This we have to take it as in dream, not in Jagrat. Okay, because the Jagrat has been talked about in the last 4 Vakyas. Based on the Jagrat, again, Bhashyakara is doing the Anumana for dream. So, the Jagrat is the example here. Correct? Drishtanta. Like I said, Paksha, Hetu, and then Vyapti and Drishtanta. So, when he is doing the Anumana for the dream, the Jagrat itself, all the 4 previous instances are all waking. So the waking itself is taken as a drishtanta. In waking, whenever there is an activity, there is always some light which is other than the body mind sense complex. Therefore, in dream also, dream is the paksha here. And what is the hetu? Vyavahara. Because in dream there is vyavahara. Correct? In dream also you are seeing things, you are sitting, you are going around, you are doing activities, etc. So the vyavahara is the hetu, and what is the anumana? Yatra yatra vyavahara tatra tatra karyakarana sangata vyatirikta jyotihi asti. That is the vyapti. So based on that, we say the anumana is that there is a jyoti which is other than the body mind sense complex, which is the atma, which is the consciousness. Like this, we are doing the anumana. Jagrat vatte. Jagrat is the drishtanta. Is that clear? So this is what Bhashyakara is trying to do here. And based on that, there is a discussion also. Because the others, even like the modern scientists, in fact. So we have to take the Purvapakshi here as Charvaka or Bauddha, those who do not accept the Veda. So they are coming and saying, body itself is the Jyotihi. So even today, most of the scientists are saying the same thing. Right? They say that consciousness or mind is an epiphenomenon of matter. Okay. For us, mind also is material. Here there is a confusion whether mind and consciousness are one and the same. That also they are not very clear. But taking awareness or consciousness, they say that consciousness itself is an epiphenomenon of matter. Means what? Somehow when you put together different things, consciousness comes. That's all. Okay. The Charvaka gives a drishtanta for that. They say that You take a betel leaf, correct? And then that's what pan. You take pan, betel leaf, then betel nut also. Vetalapatu. And then you put some lime, which is white. So you take green and then brown and white, you mix all, it becomes red. Correct? You put it in your mouth and chew it, it will become red. So how did the red color come? When these three things mixed, then red came. Like that, consciousness also manifests like that. This is one argument, okay, which is not very different from the modern argument. Now, Bhashyakara takes on that argument, and the Charvaka tries to prove that the inference which Bhashyakara puts forward is not a sound one. It is only his fancy and all that. But Bhashyakara argues with him and establishes that there is a Deha Vyatirikta Atma, which is the Jyotis, particularly in dream and also during remembrance. Correct? Memory also is the same. In memory also, there is no external stimulus, correct? But you are able to recollect, and sometimes it is very vivid. Just by remembering something, you can even get your BP may go up. You may get angry, etc. So, Bhashyakara takes the Swapna and memory, dream and memories, and argues. So, we'll see the Bhashya now. Shantayam, Shantayam Punarvachi, Gandadishu api, cha Shanteshu, Bahyeshu Anugrahakeshu, Sarva Pravritti Nirodha Praptaha Asya Purushasya. So again what he says, everything has been resolved or put off, correct? When speech has stopped, all other external things have stopped, like odor, etc. So he says, Shantayam Punar Vachihi. Punaha Vachi here means, because immediately previous to this, we were talking about Vageva Jyotihi, correct? So he says, Vag also has become resolved, means there is no more sound, etc. Along with that, whatever is Upalakshana for that, Gandhadishu api, even smell, etc. are not there. None of the sense object as stimuli are available. They have all become Shanta, means what they have resolved. They are no more available because they were helping you as an external factor. Correct? Bahyeshu Anugrahakeshu. They were helping you to do Vyavahara, but they are no more available. They have all resolved. Therefore, what? Sarva Pravritti Nirodha Praptaha means all activities have been restrained. Why? Because there is no helping light for that. Okay, Purushasya. So that is the situation now. Praptayam Purushasya. What etaduktam bhavati? This is being said what? Jagrad Vishaye Bahirmukhani Karanani Chakshuradini Adityadi Jyotirbhihi Anugrikyamanani Yada Tada Sputataraha Samvyavaharaha Asya Purushasya Bhavati iti. So, from whatever the previous four things, okay, what do we understand? That in during Jagrat, so Jagrat Vishaye, with reference to waking, Bahirmukhani Karanani, the sense organs which are going externally, correct? They are what? Chakshuradini, eyes, etc. And they are being helped because they are getting stimulus. Aditya Adi Jyotirbhihi, Aditya, etc. They are ones which are giving you the stimulus or the sense objects, or they are helping you to, to perceive and then do the vyavahara, correct? So when the external aids like Aditya, etc. are there in the form of light, then what? Tada Sputataraha Samyavaharaha Asya Purushasya. For a person, then only all the activities are there. Okay, Purushasya Bhavati, Samyavaharaha Bhavati means for a person, activities are there in waking state when all these externally focused sense organs are helped by light, such as sun, etc. Fine. Evam tavat jagarite swavayava sanghatam vyatiriktena jyotisha jyotish karya siddhi asya purushasya drishta. So this is the next point. So first he establishes that the vyapti, that whenever there is vyavahara, there is a light. Fine. Now what? In the same manner, evam, further what? Jagarite swavayava sangata vyatiriktena means swavayava means what? One's own avayavas, like body, mind, sense complex is there. All the parts which make up this body, mind, sense complex. Something which is separate from that, other than that, swavayava sangata vyatiriktena by a light which is other than the body, mind, sense complex only. Jyotish karya siddhi, whatever activities which are happening in the light, that is possible only by a light which is external to the body, mind, sense complex. This is also seen, he says. So from this, know what he says, tasmat te vayam manyamahe. From this we conclude. What do we conclude? That's what I told you, the vyapti, correct? So that is the vyapti he is trying to create now. What is that? Sarva Bhashya Jyotif Pratyastamayepi Swapna Shushupta Kale Jagarite Cha Tadrig Avasthayam Swavaya Sangatam Vyatirikte Naiva Jyotisha Jyotish Karya Siddhihi Asya Iti. So now, even when all the Bhashya lights, the external lights, are resolved, they are not available. So Sarva Bhashya Jyotif Pratyastamayepi. Pratyastamaya means they have astam. Astam has happened means what? They are all resolved. They have all set. Like the sun has set, moon has set, fire has been put off. Like that, they are all gone. Even when the external lights are not available. Swapna Shishupta Kale, during sleep and also during dream and during waking also, particularly when we are remembering things, correct? Like daydreaming or even just closing your eyes and visualizing something, let us say, Jagaritecha, Tadriga Avasthayam. So, in such situations where the external lights are not available in all three avasthas, but you are perceiving certain things, you may be doing Vyavahara also, correct? For that Vyavahara, the Jyotish Karya, correct? For the Jyotish Karya Siddhi means what? For the Vyavahara, for the activity based on the light to happen, what kind of light is required? Swavayava Sangata Vyatiriktena Iva Jyotisha. That is what he is now arriving at. So he says, even during dream and sleep, and even when you are remembering or visualizing something, even in Jagrat, the light which is making it possible, the activities in all these states, has to be something other than your body, mind, sense complex. And now he gives Drishyatecha Swapne Jyotish Karya Siddhihi. And in Swapna, he says there is activity. And we all do so many things in dream also, correct? Like he says, what? Bandhu Sangha, Sangamana, Viyoga Darshanam. Like even in dream, you may meet your friends. In fact, it is time that for us, it is already 30-year reunion has to happen. So you are thinking about your friends, all the people with whom you studied in college. Then you dream about all those guys. Some of them you have not seen for 30 years also. So you are imagining how they will be now. Okay, Soyam Devadattaha kind of remembrance you should have. Anyway, so you can meet your friends and you can also Viyoga also. You then come back. Okay, you meet and then you disperse. All this is possible. Or you go somewhere else. Reunion is not happening in your place, it is happening in your college, which is somewhere else. For us, it is in Banaras. So, Deshantara Gamanadi. So, I can dream about my class reunion where I am meeting all my friends. And then I come back, correct? I go somewhere. But all these activities are happening when my body is lying on my bed. The body has not gone anywhere. Is that clear? That means the body has not received any external stimuli which can explain that activity. Whatever activity which happened in your mind, it cannot be explained by any stimuli which the body itself has received, because body is very much lying on the bed without any activity, in fact. So then where did all these things come from? Or what is the light which made all this activity in my dream possible? Now that light also has to be something other than the body mind sense complex, is what the Bhashyakara's Anumana is, inference. So he says this is there, this kind of activity is there in dream. Then what? Sushuptacha utthanam Sukamaham aswapsam na kichid avedisham. Even in sleep, let us say I did not dream, but most of the time I don't dream. I have good sleep, let us say. So I sleep very well. Then what, I get up and say, I slept very well. It was great. Really, I enjoyed deep sleep. Sukam aham aswapsam. I slept and I enjoyed. Okay. Nice sleep I had. And I did not know anything. Na kinchid avedisham iti. While sleeping, I did not know anything. I did not dream. Nothing was there. Deep sleep. This also I can say after getting up, I can recollect. So during sleep also, I had this vyavahara of knowing that I did not know anything and I slept well, etc. Correct? So therefore, what tasmad asti vyatирiktam kimapi jyotihi. So what he says is, based on this, in the whatever the activities which are happening in swapna and even in sleep, I can now say that what, there has to be a jyotis which facilitated all these activities. That is the vyapti, correct? We said yatra yatra vyavaharaha tatra tatra karya karana sangata vyatiriktaha jyotihi asti. That is the vyapti Bhashyakara has made. So based on that, he says tasmat asti vyatiriktam kimapi jyotihi. Therefore, there is a separate jyoti. Some jyoti has to be there other than the karya karana sangata, other than the body mind sense complex. Now we have to know what is that. Correct? That is what Yajnavalkya is answering. Atma eva sid jyotihi. So that's what kim punaha tate shantayam vachi jyotihi bhavati iti. So when the vag and other sense stimuli are also resolved, they are not available. What is the jyoti which makes all this vyavahara possible in dream? Means what? Uchyate. It is said, what is that? Atma eva asya jyotihi bhavati iti. Atma alone, self alone is the conscious being, which is the self, is the light for that. Now, what is this Atma? Bhashyakara explains. Atmeti karya karana swavaya sanghata vyatiriktam karya karana avabhasakam adityadi bhashya jyotirvate swayam anye anavabhasyamanam anyena anavabhasyamanam abhidhiyate jyotihi. So what is this Atma? Based on the characteristics we have observed before, Bhashyakara gives what is that? It is separate from the body mind sense complex and its parts. Correct? Karya karana swavaya sangata vyatiriktam. But that which lights up the karya karana sangata, karya karana avabhasakam. And also, it is also like the aditya adi bahya jyotivat. It is like sun, etc. Sources of light, external sources of light, in the sense that swayam anyena avabhasyamanam. So it is self-luminous. It does not require any illumination from another source. Anyena anavabhasyamanam means what? It does not require illumination from any other source. It is self-luminous. Swayam jyotihi. So in this manner, abhidhiyate means what? It is understood here, correct? By Atma, a kind of jyoti which is separate from the body mind sense complex and which illumines the body mind sense complex. And like the sun, etc., it is self-luminous and does not require any other illumination. This much we understand. The Atma word indicates that. It abhidiyate, Atma iti abhidiyate. Atma indicates a light which has all these characteristics. But some more is there. What is that? Antastham cha tat parisheshya. See, the all the other lights are all external. Now, in dream and in deep sleep, there are no external stimuli. So the source of this light cannot be external. Then by whatever principle of residuum, parishesham, what the source of this light must be internal, he says. It is internal light. Antastam cha tate parisheshya. But still what? It is karya karana vyatiriktam taditi tavat siddham. Even though it is internal, it is still different from the body mind sense complex, he says, based on the vyapti itself. So what does he say now? Yacha karya karana vyatiriktam karya karana sanghata anugrahakam tad jyotihi tad bahyaischa no bahyaihi chakshuradi karanaihi upalabhyamanam drishtam. So whatever the jyoti which is like in the waking state, at least whatever light which aided us in doing all the vyavahara, correct, which helped the karya karana sanghata, the body mind sense complex, the light which helped it, it was external bahyahi, and also it was available to the sense organs like the eye, etc. This was seen in the case of external lights, external sources of light. But here it is not like that. So he is pointing out, Natu tatha tat chakshuradibihi upalabhyate. Now the light of Atma is not, it is not objectifiable by your eyes, etc. It is not available as an object of cognition for your eyes. Chakshuradi, adipadat, all other sense organs also. So it is not available for sense perception, this light. The other external lights, they are all available for sense perception, but this is not available. Natu tata tat chakshuradibihi upalabhyate. Therefore only he says it is antastham, it is internal even to the sense organs, because that's why the sense organs are not able to objectify them. So adityadi jyotishu uparateshu. So when the aditya, etc., jyoti have resolved or they have withdrawn or removed, now this jyoti is available, but this jyoti cannot be objectified or cognized by your sense organs. Okay, even when the external lights have been removed, karyam tu jyotishaha drishyate. Means what? The effect of the light, that is the vyavahara, is seen in dream. Therefore what? From the vyavahara, we do the anumana, correct? Tasmat, therefore, atmana eva ayam jyotisha aste palyayate karma kurute vipalyati iti. Therefore what? By the atma jyotis alone, one sits, one moves around, one does all the activities, one returns back, etc. Whatever activities you do in your dream. Therefore what? Tasmat nunam antastam jyotihi iti avagamyate. Therefore, we now understand that there is a jyoti. Okay, it is different from all other jyoti, but this must reside within the body. Okay, because from the effect itself, we are now doing the anumana that Atma itself is the jyoti and it is inside antastam. And another thing is what? Kincha adityadi jyotihi vilakshanam tat abhautikam cha. See, the normal light, external light, is all bhautikam. It is all elemental, correct? Because the external light also is based on the Akasha, Vayu, Agnihi, Apaha, Prithvi, etc. Correct? It's all, uh, it has to travel in space, and again, that radiation itself is produced by some energy like Agni. So, it is all external and it is elemental. But this Jyoti we are talking about consciousness, it is internal. It is not available for your sense organs to objectify. Therefore, it is not elemental. Okay, it is not made up of these five bhutas. The external light, all the different light, they are all available to your sense objects because they are all available as sense objects to your sense organs because sense organs themselves are bhautika and they are able to get the stimuli which is also bhautika. Both are elemental. But in the case of consciousness, which is Atma, which is internal to your all the sense organs and mind, this consciousness is not available for your perception, and it is therefore what? It is not material, elemental. It is not made up of all these panchabhutas. Okay, abhautikam cha. And that is the cause. Saeva hetuhu yet chakshuradi agrahyatvam. That is why it is not available for your eyes to be objectified, he says. Since it is not available for objectification by your sense organs, this light is not a light which is physical, which is elemental. Is that clear? That's what Bhashyakara is arriving at. So one more inference he is doing here. So what are all the things? First, based on the Vyavahara, there has to be a light. And this light has to be other than the body-mind sense complex. But in the case of dream and deep sleep, since there are no external stimuli available, nothing external is available, this light itself has to be internal. But since this light is internal, not only it is internal, it is not available to be objectified by your sense organs. Therefore, it is also not bhautikam, it is not elemental, it is not physical light. Like this, all these conclusions he has now established. So this is the Siddhanta, in fact. Okay. It is other than the Adityadi Jyotihi Vilakshanam, and it is abhautikam. It is not made up of the Panchamahabhutas, and that is why it is not available to be grasped by your sense organs. Whereas Aditya, etc., Aditya Adivati means Aditya, etc., it is available to the eyes. They are all grahya because they are bhautika, but this is abhautika, therefore it is not available. Like even Aditya, etc., is available. So now up to this, the Siddhanta has been presented. Now the Purva Pakshi comes. Now Purva Pakshi first brings one interesting argument. He says, for one thing to help another, they both have to be of the same jati, he says. Okay. So that is one argument he brings. Then he will bring in another interesting argument also. All those things we'll see now. So first he says, na. So Purva Pakshi says, no, I don't accept all your nonsense about an Atma which is separate from body, mind, sense complex. So here the Purva Pakshi you can take as Charvaka, or you can even take as a modern scientist. Okay. So for them, body, mind, sense complex itself is somehow producing the light. Okay, he says samana jatiyena eva upakara darshana. So one objection he raises is, you cannot say that this light is vilakshana, it is abhautika, etc. Because only things which are of the same nature or same category, they can help each other, he says. Samana jatiyena eva upakara darshanat, he says. How did he arrive at that vyapti? We don't know, but they are saying that. And then he explains that what yad adityadi vilakshanam jyotihi antaram siddhamiti etad asat. So first he does not agree with your conclusion. He says that you said that there is a jyoti which is other than sun, etc., and which is internal. That is established, you say. It is siddham, correct? We can establish, we can conclude. That conclusion is wrong, he says. Etad asate, it is wrong. Why? So he gives his own meaning, his own reason for that. What is that? Upakriyamana samana jatiyena eva adityadi jyotisha karyakarna sangatasya bhautikasya bhautikena eva upakaraha kriyamana drishyate. So he says in the previous four cases which you have taken to form your vyapti, the one who is helping, correct, and one who is helped. So upakriyamanaha means one who is helped. So the karyakarna sangata is the one which is helped by the light, correct? Light is the upakaraka. So the one who is helped by the light is also of the same jati, he says, as the one who is helping. Upakriyamana samana jatiyena eva adityadi jyotisha. So the adityadi jyotis, aditya, etc., light, which helps in the vyavahara of the karyakarna sangata, it is of the same category as the karyakarna sangata itself, he says. Same jati, which is helped, correct? The karyakarna sangata is the one which is helped. In what manner they are in the same category? Bhautikasya bhautikena eva upakaraha, he says. Light also is bhautika, which is the helper, and the karyakarna sangata also is bhautika, which is being helped. Both of them are of the same category. That's why one is able to help the other. The helping is possible. The upakara itself is possible. Upakaraha kriyamanaha drishyate. It is seen that both being bhautika, only one helps the other to do the vyavahara. And all anumana you have to do only based on whatever you observe, correct? Because inference itself is normally based on perception alone. Perception is an independent pramana. So always perception is supposed to be stronger. Anumana is weak. And if anumana is contradicted by a perception, we always say that perception alone wins. So these are all general principles we all accept. Vedantin also accepts. In fact, the Purvapakshi will quote all these things. So he says, Yata drishtam cha idam anumeyam. So whatever you are inferring should be as per the perception, correct? It should be based on perception. But it is not based on perception, he wants to show. So what he is going to say now, let us see. Yadi nama karyakarnad arthantaram tad upakarakam adityadivat jyotihi tathapi karyakarna sangata samana jatiyam eva anumeyam. So he says, okay, let us accept that there is another jyoti other than Aditya, etc., which have been discussed. Even if you infer a light which is other than the external light, that light also has to be similar in terms of being elemental, correct? It has to be samana jatiya. It has to be of the same class, same category. You have to infer only a light which is of the same category, because only two things belonging to the same category can take help from each other. That is his point. Okay, so he says, that's how you have to infer. Karya karna sangata samana jatiyam eva anumeyam. So even if you infer a light which is other than Aditya, etc., and which is similar to Aditya, it has to be of the same class. Why? Because Karya karna sangata upakarakatva, the very fact that the Karya karna sangata is being helped, the helper also has to be of the same category, same jati. And what is the Drishtanta? Aditya Jyotirvate. His Drishtanta here is Aditya Jyoti itself is the Drishtanta for that. So, what is the Vyapti he is trying to bring in here? His Vyapti is Yatra Yatra Upakaraha Tatra Tatra Samana Jatiya Upakaraka Upakriyamanaha. Something like that we can say Asti. So, wherever there is some help is happening between two things, both the things belong to the same category. This is the Vyapti he is trying to bring it. So based on this Vyapti, he is saying even if you infer a new light, that light also has to be only bhautika. It cannot be abhautika. So this is the first thing he is saying. Okay. Then the other thing he says, yat punaha antastatvat अप्रत्यक्षत्वात् च वैलक्षण्यम् उच्यते तत् चक्षुरादि ज्योतिर्भिः अनैकान्तिकम्. So he says the other thing is you are inferring a light which is internal, okay, antastha, and because it is internal, it is not perceptible to your sense organs, you say, and therefore it is different. Vailakshanyam. You are talking about it being different. Vailakshanyam uchyate. But I don't see any difference, he says. Tat chakshuradi jyotirbhihi anekantikam, he says. It is not anything different from eyes, etc. Okay. It is all similar to the eyes, ears, all this. So his contention is that the indriya and the manas, which is there in the body mind sense complex itself, is the light. It is conscious, it is aware. You don't have to infer something other than that. So anekantikam means what? It is not different. This light is not different from the your sense organs themselves. Okay. So it has to be the same, because he says, what he is saying, let us see, very interesting. So he'll say, yataha apratyakshani antastani cha chakshuradi jyotimshi bhautikani eva. Why? Because even if you say that this internal light is there, okay, but this internal light is nothing but your own body mind sense complex only. All the whatever, because the body alone is conscious, correct? Body is aware. So the awareness and consciousness are perceived in the body. Therefore, body is the perceiver. So you don't have to propose or infer a light which is other than the body mind sense complex. And the body mind sense complex itself is bhautika. And even the external light also is bhautika. Only the bhautika light can help another bhautika thing. So his vyapti also holds good. So he says, chakshuradi jyotimshi bhautikani eva. So even if we say that the light in the dream, which is there, that light is not something separate from the body mind sense complex. The body mind sense complex itself being the light, it cannot objectify itself, correct? That way it is apratyaksha, but still it is bhautika only. This is the idea. Okay. So this is the argument. In fact, this argument, like I said, is very much like modern scientists. So he now says, Tasmat tava manoratha matram vilakshanam atma jyotihi siddhamiti. So whatever you said that there is an atma jyoti, consciousness which is separate from body mind sense complex, all that is your imagination of your mind only. Manoratha matram, he says, it is all your chariot is running in your mind alone. Okay. It's not based on any reality. So what he says, Karya Karana Sanghata Bhava Bhavitvacha Sanghata Dharmatvam Anumiyate Jyotishaha. The other thing is, this light you are talking about itself depends on only the body mind sense complex, correct? It is not observed, perceived anywhere else. Body alone is aware, body alone is conscious. So I see the awareness and sentiency, etc., in the body and the body mind sense complex. Therefore, what? The light depends on the body mind sense complex for it to be there. So, Karya Karana Sanghata Bhava Bhavitvam means what? Bhavitvam means one depends on its existence for the other. So, the light depends on the body mind sense complex for its very existence, because light itself is perceived only in a sentient body. The sentiency consciousness, awareness, etc. Are only observed in a body, mind, sense complex. It's not observed other than in somewhere else, correct? So it depends on its very existence for the body, mind, sense complex. Therefore, what? Sangata dharmatvam anumiyate jyotishaha. Therefore, the light which we are inferring should be a quality of the body, mind, sense complex alone. It cannot be other than that. Like this, he comes. Now, he gives some other general principles. The Purva Pakshi only is continuing. So he says, Samanyataha drishtasya cha anumanasya vibicharatvat apramanyam. So this is the general principle I told you, correct? That means what? You infer something, but if it is contradictory to what is generally observed, Samanyataha drishtasya means whatever is generally perceived. Perception is the king. Perception is independent. Whatever is perceived cannot be negated by some fancy inference. That's what he's saying. So anumanasya vibicharatvat apramanyam, he says, if there is a contradiction between inference and perception, perception wins. Anumana will be considered as not pramana. It's not a valid means of knowledge. So this is he stating that in fact we agree. There is nothing to dispute here. Further what? Samanyataha drishtabalena hi bhavan adityadivat vyatiriktam jyotihi sadhayati कार्यकरणेभ्यः न च प्रत्यक्षम अनुमानेन बाधितुम शक्यते. So he now specifically says that you are doing inference based on the whatever occurrence of this Aditya etc. being light, correct? And they are being separate from the body mind sense complex. You have done an inference, but that inference itself is contradicted by perception, he says. So because he says, that's what he said here, correct? That here, that bhava bhavitvat, he said. Karya karana sangata bhava bhavitvat is the pratyaksha. So I see that this light itself depends on the body mind sense complex only for its existence. Therefore, it cannot be something other than this body mind sense complex. Whatever may be the inference you do, the inference cannot be stronger than pratyaksha itself. That is the argument. So he says, you are trying to establish a light other than the body mind sense complex based on some inference, but nacha pratyaksham anumanena badhitum shakyate. But you cannot negate perception based on inference. Therefore, what he says, ayamevatu karyakarana sangataha pratyaksham pashyati shrinoti manute vijanati cha. So his point he is making very clear now. He says, I am karyakarana sangata. This body mind sense complex alone, okay, pratyaksham pashyati, directly it sees, it hears, correct? It smells. All these sense activities, sense perception are happening only in this body mind sense complex. This alone sees, okay? It alone knows. It alone thinks. Therefore, what? That is the pratyaksha. Your anumana cannot overpower this pratyaksha. So he says, yedi nama jyotihi antaram asya upakarakam syat adityadivat natad atma syat jyotihi antaram adityadivat eva येव तु प्रत्यक्षं दर्शनक्रियां करोति दर्शनादिक्रियां करोति स एव आत्मा स्यात् कार्यकरणसंगातः न अन्यः. So now he is summarizing his argument. He says, even if we say that there is a jyoti which is internal and which is helping you doing all the vyavahara during dream, etc., which is like Adityadivat, which is self-luminous, etc., but that is not the Atma you are saying. Okay? It is only this body mind sense complex itself is the Atma. The Atma you are saying is not the one. Okay, the internal Jyotihi, that Atma is not there, but it is the one which we see which we see directly, correct? Eva tu pratyaksham atma sangataha. The body mind sense complex itself, the sangata, karyakarna sangata itself is the atma. There is no separate atma other than that. Whatever indriya, etc., which are there in the mind, which is there, they alone are the light. The light is their light alone, and therefore, whatever you say that separately there is another Jyoti other than the Sangata, it is not there. Okay. So, Pratyakshadi Virodhe Anumanasya Apramanya. So, what is the reason for that? Because we see this body mind sense complex itself is the light. We perceive that your Anumana cannot overpower that. Your Anumana is weak compared to the perception is his argument. So, there is no separate light other than the body mind sense complex. Now, Bhashyakara comes back. Up to this is Purva Paksha, okay, this whole thing. So Bhashyakara says, now, he says, Nanu, ayameva chet darshanadi kriya karta atma sangataha katam avikalasya eva asya darshanadi kriya kartrutvam kadachit bhavati kadachit na iti. So Bhashyakara raises a point. He says that if this body mind sense complex itself is the agent of seeing, etc., why does it see sometimes and it does not see sometimes? Even though body mind sense is intact, it has not undergone any defect or any dosha or anything. Correct? Avikala means it is as it is fine. It is intact, it is proper. So it has not had any deficiency or whatever. It has not undergone some decline. So such a proper body mind sense complex itself, sometimes it is able to do the darshanadi kriya. In fact, sometimes things come right in front of your eyes, you don't see it. Correct? So sometimes it is aware, sometimes it is not aware. So the darshanadi kriya kartrutvam is there only sometimes, at other times it is not there. Therefore, how do you explain this? He asks Bhashyakara. For this, the Purvapakshi is saying, Naisha doshaha, it is not a dosha. Why? Drishtatvat, it is also seen. This is called Swabhavavada. They talk about Swabhavavada, that's how nature is. So he says, Nahi drishte anupapannam nama. So whatever is seen with Pratyaksha, it is not possible like that, you cannot say. Whatever has been observed, you have to take it as it is. Therefore, he says, Nahi khadyote prakasha aprakashakatvena drishyamane karanantaram anumeyam. He says, there is a firefly. Sometimes the firefly is prakasha. It is all, firefly is some, in fact, once in our Gurukulam, there were so many fireflies. In some seasons, they come. It is so nice to see at night. So they are so bright. But at other times, you see, they do not have any brightness, nothing. They are not luminous. That's what it is. That is how nature is. You don't have to look for any other reason for that, he says. Fireflies are sometimes luminous, sometimes they do not have the luminosity. That's it. That is their nature. That is the Swabhava. So you don't have to do any inference why they are sometimes having light. At other times it is not there like that. You don't have to do any anumana. Like this he says. In fact, this argument will continue further. We will see next week. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
धन्यवाद गुरुजी.